Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm trying to do a book video every other video, so I hope you're enjoying them because I'm obsessed with the book the book content at the minute. I've been trying to do a few videos on TikTok if you want to follow me there. I think my username is just Lorraine Dewhurst, and yeah, today's also I threw a birthday party for my cat on the weekend. That's why we have balloons. But happy March. I feel like my seasonal depression vanishes as soon as it gets to March because I don't know, I feel like it gets sunnier, the clocks change at the end of the month. Normally the bank holidays start up because Easter's coming on, although I think Easter's at the end of April this year. So it's one of them. But I thought I would do a February reading wrap up, so all the books I read in February and ratings, and I'm going to try and do a small review for them because I tend to ramble in these videos. I'm really trying not to, but yeah, let's get into it. I think I read 20 books this month, which is kind of like an average for me. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start off with the 2 physical books that I read this month. Let's start off with Deep End. Oh, come on, Percy. Destroying his new tree. But I actually have a special edition of Deep End as well, and just the normal book. But how gorgeous is that? Literally obsessed, and it's got really nice artwork as well. It's from Illumicrate, I think, by Afterlight. If that means anything to anyone, it's about £22. How gorgeous. But I rated this book a 5 out of 5. I'm not gonna lie, I nearly rated it a bit lower because Penn's character in this really annoyed me. I felt the kind of plot for this book is this girl is friends with a girl on a swim team, and her friend and boyfriend, her friend's boyfriend and a friend, they're not, I don't know, they don't have the same sexual interests, and I think they're just struggling, but they've been together for so long and been through it that they don't really know what to do, but they end up breaking up, and a friend's kind of basically saying to, the friend is basically saying to the FMC in this book, why don't you get to know my ex in that way, because you both like similar things. So that is kind of the gist of the book. And I just ate up this book. I listened to the audiobook and it was incredible. The accent for Lucas was so good. But yeah, the ex and the friend in this book is just annoying. Yeah, I feel like she just irritated me so much. And everything she did annoyed me. I don't even think she got redemption for me in the end, although a lot of people did think that. But I loved this book, love it so much. And I had to give it a 5 stars after a few days. I think I was 4.5 just because it annoyed me. And there are some areas where I think there's a month or 6 months where the 2 main characters don't talk to each other, and it's just focusing on the swimming in the book, which I'm not gonna lie, was slightly slow for me. But even considering that, I think I still would rate it 5 stars. But yeah, this is so good and I'd recommend it. This book has had a lot of stick for not being spicy enough, because I feel like that is kind of a plot. However, I feel like they're in college. I feel like the spice level is more about trust and trusting the other person. It's hot rather than spice. I feel like the scenes are hot, but not as spicy. There's a lot spicier than this, but I feel like it kind of relates to them just exploring trust together. And for their age as well, it makes sense to me. But yeah, I don't know, I just really liked it, which is really weird because I don't normally like, I don't know, I guess Friends with Benefits books or stuff like that. It's not really my thing. I'd rather have a slow burn, but I honestly loved it. I don't know if it's because I loved the audiobook, but I just loved this so much. Next, keeping up on the Ali Hazelwood hype, I read Not in Love. I DNF'd this book last year because I just couldn't get into it. I tried the audiobook, I tried to read it, but I don't know why I couldn't get into it. But I just picked it up again around Valentine's Day because we had a little road trip to Wales, and I was like, I want to pick up a physical book. So I really enjoyed this. I'd rate it a 4. I feel like the start of it was just a bit slow. And I did the mistake of going on to Goodreads and kind of reading reviews. And a lot of people said that he talks about his ex too much and stuff like that, and it puts them off. And I kind of get where they're coming from with the ex. I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of comparing. Percy's playing with his new toys now, but it is his birthday week. But yeah, I feel like he did talk about his ex a lot, and it's not as good as like Love Theoretically, Bride, Love Hypothesis and Deep End for me. But I still did really enjoy this book, and I would rate it a 4. And I find it so silly that I DNF this, because like I think it's really cute now and I did like it. I feel like I would have rated it higher though if he didn't talk about his ex so much. Although I feel like in a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books, Deep End, Love on the Brain, I feel like the exes are like prominent in a lot of books. Don't know if that's just like something she enjoys writing about, but I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy exes. Okay, I feel like this month I actually read so many monster books. I feel like I've really been enjoying them. But they have to have like a plot. They can't just be full of spice or I just get bored. But the first book I read this month was His Darkest Desire. And it's like a monster fae kind of book. I feel like this girl, she's on a road trip. I feel like her ex and her broke up and she's going through a lot. So she kind of gets in a car accident and then gets taken to this like realm where this monster's living. And like he can't escape it until certain things happen. And it's them kind of like finding love together. I think I rated this like a 3.5. I feel like it was kind of cute. I kind of like the plot that like she was dying and he was like, if you're mine, I'll help you and you can survive. And she's like, in the moment, she's like, obviously I want to live. But yeah, it was okay. I feel like it was like a good plot, not too fast of a burn. It was okay, and that was it really. I feel like a 3.5 is like, oh, it was a cute book, I enjoyed it, but I don't think I'd pick it up again. But yeah, I do really like Tiffany Roberts, so I feel like she has a lot of monster books. I think her like Spider series and Snared is my favourite that I've read from her so far. But I did like His Darkest Desire. I feel like there was just some elements of it that were a tiny bit cringy, but I feel like a lot of monster books do get like that. The same with a few like, I don't know, shifter romance books. I feel like they can be a bit cringy sometimes. But I still enjoyed it. 3.5. Next, I read I think it's just the Monster Trilogy by Rena Ken. I haven't not read a lot of her books other than, I think it's the legacies like God of Malice, God of Wrath, God of Malice is one of my favourite books. I love it so much. I haven't read that whole series yet. I've only read like 4 books. I need to read Nicolai and Brand's book and then Mia and Landon's. But yeah, I love that. So I was like, let's give it more of a go. I feel like I'm really into dark romance at the minute and I've been loving it. So the books are called Blood of My Monster, which I think that one might have been my favourite, the first one. It's a woman who pretends to be a man, Mulan, kind of love that. And she's in hiding, so she goes to work for this guy. And I think she's kind of like in his army, but then goes to work for him as part of like the mafia after. But yeah, I think it's really funny because she's like, no one knows that I'm a woman. And I think straight away, the male character is like, that is a woman. But I did enjoy it. However, it was 3 books of the same couple. It felt a bit repetitive for me. But it was a good series and I actually did eat them all up on like one weekend. I rated the first book in this series, so Blood of My Monster, a 3.75, which that is my like rating for like, oh, I enjoyed this book, but I don't know if probably wouldn't pick it up again, but like that was quite good. That is like my vibe. So first book, a 3.75. The next book is called Lies of My Monster, again 3.75. And then the last book, Heart of My Monster, 3.5. I did like the plot of the last one. I can't really talk about it because it spoils a lot. I did like it, but I feel like it just felt a bit slow and repetitive. And I just was like reading it to kind of finish it more than like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. But I did really enjoy that series, to be fair, and I really want to read more of her books. But I feel like a lot of her books for me do end up being like 3.5s or 3.75s, other than God of Wrath and God of Malice. Next, I read Unsteady by, I think it's Peyton Corrin. I hope I haven't butchered that, but I love this book. It was like a college sports romance. I felt that the two characters are just both going through stuff, and they kind of meet up at an ice rink and just listen to music together, and it's them like going through problems, finding love, and having like a lot of stuff going on in their personal lives. But I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 4 stars. I feel like it was just missing a bit of depth for me in the writing, but I did still really, Bessie, I did really enjoy the book, and I think I will go on. I think she has released another book this month called Unloved, and I will actually go on to read that as well at some point. But yeah, I feel like it was really good. I do like a college romance. I prefer them more college, uni based rather than high school. Other than Boys of Tommen. I don't care that Boys of Tommen, that they're all in high school, because sometimes I feel like I'm like, are they all actually gonna last? But that series, they're all lasting, or my heart will be broken. Next, by Lee Miller, I read her, I think it's like, she's done a series where monsters like live in the real world, and they have this like agency that if like a monster finds their mate, they can contact people like, I don't know, I feel like it was like monsters in the modern day I do kind of love. So the first book was Nora's Kraken. I gave this a 3.5. Again, I feel like it was just a cute romance book, but this Kraken shifter sees his mate in a coffee shop. She gets notified by it, and at first she's like, this is freaky. I also think that she's in hiding as well because her ex was a bad person. But yeah, it's like them finding love. It's just like a cute little shifter romance. So yeah, 3.5. I did really enjoy it, and I probably would read more from this author. This was the first book I'd ever read by her. And then next is Kenna's Dragon in the same series. I think I gave this a 2 because I did not like the MMC in this book. I feel like he just kept putting her through it, and she just didn't really deserve it, and I feel like she deserved better than him. He could have grovelled more. There could have just been a bit more. But yeah, that's why I stopped with that series, just because that book annoyed me, but I might carry on with it. I think the next book was about a vampire, so we might enjoy that a bit more. But yeah, I feel like Kenna's Dragon was not my favourite, but I really, really wanted to get into it because, I don't know, if I want a certain trope, like monster romance or anything like that, I like have to read everything I can find in it, even if I don't enjoy them as much. I just feel like if I need a specific trope, I have to read that trope, and I don't want to read anything else. Next, we have the worst book that I read this month, and this was a 1 star for me. I feel like the 1 star is just like, to be polite, because if I DNF a book, it's no stars, but if I still read it, it's 1 star. But yeah, I just really wanted an orc romance, and I tried to read this before and didn't enjoy it, so that should have been a sign that it was DNF'd once. But you know what, I wanted to give it a chance. It's called The Lady and the Orc, and I want to say this is probably the worst MMC that I have ever read, and that is like, one of the worst. I could have just thought of another one then. But I feel like he just really puts her through it. I don't think he's nice. I think the book's just a bit like icky. I don't like how all the orcs, the men, act. I feel like they're just kind of a bit disrespectful with women. I feel like he's not caring for her enough. I don't know, I feel like he's just constantly putting her through it. And I get that orcs are meant to be these like monsters, but like the books I read with orcs, you know, when it's like the person they care for, they might be horrible to everyone else, but that one person they care for, they don't be nasty to them. But yeah, that book wasn't for me. I should have sticked to the DNF. It was not okay. Next is another orc romance. This is just like a cute little orc romance. It was called The Orc and the Innkeeper by Cora Crane. I think I'd give this a 3 stars. It was just like kind of cute, but it lacked depth, lacked yearning, which it should have had. So it was like an ex-bully. He bullied her in high school, and because he's an orc, she's a human. I think his whole family don't really like humans, and he liked her. He kind of did it to like protect her in some way, but he'd always liked her. And then they end up fake dating because she needs money for it in, and he needs to get the human vote for his, I want to say like whiskey business or something like that. But yeah, it just lacked like the yearning of like, if the writing lacks the yearning, if you are been in love with someone your whole life, you finally get to fake date them, I feel like it just needed a bit more. it just like lacked depth in the writing, but it was still like a cute little book. I'd give it 3 stars. I think they had other books in this series, which I might continue with, to be honest. If I'm just like feeling a monster romance, I probably will pick them up, but I just feel like the writing isn't really my like favourite. It's just, it lacks a bit of depth, but it was still cute. Then I read a little cowboy romance called Burn the Wild. I think this was like age gap, older guy on a ranch, cowboy, and she's like a singer who's really going through it. Her manager's bad. I feel like she's not doing well in that lifestyle. So she knows someone, I think it's like the MMC's brother, tells her to go there and they all like look after her. It was okay. Again, I think I'd rate it 3 stars. I like a cowboy romance, but it didn't blow me away. But I don't know, I kind of like a pop star, country star in hiding books. I do really enjoy them. But yeah, I feel like it was just a 3 stars. It was okay. I did enjoy it. But one thing that puts me off in books is like she was really going through it clearly. And like in his point of view, he'd just be talking about sleeping with her, and that really cringes me out and puts me off. Like he's like a 35-year-old man or something. So yeah, stuff like that puts me off a bit, but I did really enjoy the book. I just enjoyed it. 3 stars. Next, I read A Dawn of Onyx because it was, I think it was 99p in the Kindle deals for February, so I thought I'd give it a go. I feel like this book started off so well. It's like fae and human, or like something like that, and like the world building was fun. I think it was like a marriage of convenience, or like an arranged marriage, or I can't remember now. God. But the ending just fell off a bit for me. I feel like I really enjoyed it, and then when it got to the characters finally being together and all this, it was kind of like him keeping secrets from her. The ending ended on like a little bit of like they're not really together anymore because of these secrets pulling them apart and stuff like that. But I don't think I'd pick up the next book, just because I think 75% of the way in, maybe when it got to 60%, I was bored. Just a bit bored of it, and I was finishing it to finish it, to be honest, because I feel like when it gets over 50%, I'm not DNFing the book. We're getting it over with, even if we hate it. But yeah, it just got a bit boring, but I'd rate it a 3.75 because the start of it was really good. And yeah, I feel like it's all right for a little fantasy romance, nothing too special. Next, I was still on my like monster hype. So I read by Elise Cover. She has like a Married to the Magic series. So the first book in that series is A Deal with the Elf King. I want to say that I did DNF this book a while ago, and then I got back into it, and it was just okay. It was like a 3. I feel like there were just some cringy moments in the book. I think basically the Elf King comes to look for like his human wife, human queen, and it was her, and she'd been in hiding for so long, but she didn't realise it was her because I think this boy that loved her in the town like gave her a bit of jewellery that like hid it from her. So she gets taken, she has to be his wife, it's them kind of falling in love. But yeah, it was just okay, it didn't wow me. But I did continue on with the series. Just because I feel like with a 3 star, I'm like, oh, we could get better here, or we might still not be vibing massively with this series. And sadly, it was the latter. It was a 2.5, the next book. It was just okay. It was A Dance with the Fae Prince. I loved the start of this book. I think she was like sold off to be married. She hated her stepmother, and her stepsisters didn't really like her, by like one of them. So they give her away for marriage. She doesn't meet her husband, but when she gets to the house, like where her husband is, he's kind of like got a rule that she can never look at him. Clearly because he's a Fae Prince and she doesn't know that. But yeah, I really enjoyed that bit of it. But then I feel like when it got to them like going into his world and everything happening, I was just getting a bit bored with the story, sadly. But the starting of it was so good. I feel like when I'd picked it up, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be a good one. And then it ended up being a 2.5. But it was good, and I felt the plot was good. I feel like it just needed a bit more in the writing. I'm so sad. I forgot I actually read another book that I had in physical copy, Divine Rivals. I wanted this book to be a 5 star, and I wanted to love it so much. And it ended up being a 3.75 for me, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit. But how gorgeous is that cover though? Having that on the bookshelf, stunning. But yeah, this poor girl goes through it, this book. Her brother goes to war. It's like a war of two gods, but yeah, her brother goes to war. She's missing him. I feel like there's loads happening at her home life. It's just like nothing's going very well for her. She doesn't have the best home life. Her mum's not really been the same since her brother went. She had to quit school and she's working at a newspaper with this guy, and they're kind of like rivals there. But they're also like kind of secret pen pals and they don't know it, which is really good. Like, I felt the whole plot of it was really good, but I feel like I was just missing the chemistry between the characters. I feel like this plot and this could have just been written so much more differently for me to like be in love with it. But I think I still would give it a 3.75. And I have Ruthless Vows as well, and I will read that. But I'm not in a rush to read it, seeing as though this was just like a 3.75. But it sounds really bad, but I'm still glad that I bought them because the covers are so gorgeous. I just want them to sit on the bookshelf. Next, I read another Awk book, which was Awkwardly Yours. Awkwardly Yours. I kind of love the name, but I rated this a 2. It was just okay. This orc saves like a human baby. Why am I losing my voice? I did too much shouting this weekend on like a night out and now I can't speak. But yeah, he ends up at this inn or pub where I feel like it kind of magically goes where people need it, which I thought was really cool. He meets this woman, he ends up living with her. She helps him raise a baby. He helps her with a farm because her ex is trying to like take her for the farm. I don't know. I think her ex-husband is trying to take for the farm. He's trying to get his half of the divorce, I want to say. And he's just trying to help her with that, help her rebuild some of the land that's hers, like make some money. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just got really bored of this book and I just finished it because I could not be bothered to find another one. But yeah, I don't think I'd pick it up again. It was just okay. Nothing too special about it. It was by Harmony Reigns. But yeah, I just don't think the writing, the book, or anything like that was for me. I just really wanted an orc romance, so I found it. But yeah. Next, I kind of got obsessed with Tiffany Roberts again. So I feel like we did like a whole 360 of the month. Started with her and ended with her. So she has a Kraken series. I think it's just called The Kraken. I started with the first one. I'm a bit weird with series. I will start whatever I want to start, even if it's the 4th book in. But I feel like because of this book, I needed to start with the first one. But yeah, it's kind of like humans created Kraken all these many years ago and they've been told to hate humans. But this one Kraken saves this girl, and like from, I think it's like a really bad storm, he saves her and they kind of like live together in secret for a bit. Then the other Kraken find her and it's like the Kraken being like, why are humans here? We don't like them. It's kind of like a divide with the Kraken, the divide with the humans as like the series goes on. But yeah, it's like 2 of them finding love in like each book. But yeah, I rated that a 3. Again, it was just like a really cute romance, like monstery book, but I wouldn't pick that one up again. It was just okay, but I did enjoy it. I feel like I just randomly got obsessed with Kraken books and I just needed to read one. And then I went to Heart of the Deep, which is, I think it's like the 4th or 3rd book. I think it's the 4th book in the series. Again, I just pick and choose like what couple I kind of want to read, and this one was actually the first book that I found in the series, but I went to the first one first because I feel like with the monster books I needed the like world building. But I did really enjoy this one. Her brother went missing and he ends up with one of the Kraken in a previous book. She goes to find him, ends up with one. Again, it's just like finding love, but I like the fact that like it's not just full of smut. Like I feel like it's like kind of a slow burn and things don't start happening between them until like 50-60%. I'd love more of a slow burn. I'd love the writing to be slightly different. I feel like I would love them even more because I love monster books. It is very rare though that a monster book for me does get to 4 stars, just because I feel like they're kind of just like cute, fluffier reads and like not like intense, like I love this so much, if that makes sense. Then the last book I read this month was Rising from the Depths. My voice is actually going. It was in the same series. I think it's the one after Heart of the Deep. And do you know what? I thought this book was like, I gave it a 3.5 as well. I just really enjoyed the fact that this woman gets in an accident, her friends die, and she loses her leg and her husband leaves her after all of this, and the Kraken that saved her from the attack like nurses her back to health and he's there for her. And that's the like kind of plot that I really enjoyed, and I feel like he kind of betrayed the Kraken in other books and didn't really agree with the humans being there. So I feel like them like two broken souls coming together always gets me, especially in monster books. I feel like they're just so like underrated and I love them so much. But again, I feel like I just needed a bit more like of yearning and looking after, and like the writing just being slightly different for me to like absolutely love this book, because the whole plot and everything, I feel like it was really good, but like it did just fall off a little bit at the end. I feel like I just needed a bit more, and like I feel like I'd rather have her like them had more arguments in the hospital, like the tensions building up. I don't know, I feel like I just needed a little bit more, but I did really enjoy it and I gave it a 3.5. But yeah, I feel like I really enjoyed my little Kraken books at the end of this month. I enjoyed them. But yeah, that was the end of my February reading wrap up, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you like the book content. I'm trying to do a bit more. Just because I've been doing it loads on TikTok, I want to do some longer videos here as well. Why not? I feel like it's just fun to talk about books. But yeah, I will see you soon for a brand new video. Bye!